Very much. I'd like to thank the Schuyler Center for inviting us here to talk about the media and some of the issues when it comes to covering poverty and social justice.
For the last few years, Occupy Wall Street, other things have helped push the poverty conversation to the mainstream. Prior to that, you can look at studies done by Pew, by the Knight Foundations and others that show issues of poverty really have been left outside of our overall conversation. So part of the Great Recession's effect that media has taken advantage of in a good way is that we have started to have these conversations. Now, whether they're reaching the people where it really matters, that's the challenge I think that we face.
But there's a much smaller audience. It's much, much more fragmented. And you do have these pockets, you know, whether it's through social media or it's MSNBC or the very few things, and the right wing has its things, which are in the opposite direction. But I think there has been that change in the media, so that no one thing has the power on a national basis that the media had then.
And how do you think we are doing now on this?
Not very well. But I think that there are, we have a tendency to beat up on the media about this. For one thing, well, it's the highest and best, in my view, journalism when one of you gets an idea and goes and pursues it. A lot of what you necessarily do is cover a story. And so if a politician addresses the issues, you cover the story. Well, excuse me, what politician is covering the issues? So I don't blame you for the fact that somebody who would make the news isn't making any news.
Behind that kind of the wall of mouthpieces, as it were, to get at the kind of flesh and blood of these issues?
No, I think that's journalism's job. I mean, I think what I find, and it's totally different mindset when you're a reporter versus when you run an organization. You're looking at what type of editorial message do you want to convey over a course of a year? What areas do you cover? Like, what does your audience learn from your content? So with us, it's really looking at strong perspectives. And what I would love to see is the same way we can talk about international policy and national issues, have that same level of journalism focused on poverty. The same way The Economist and New York Magazine and others really can delve deep. If we can bring those types of aggressive solutions to the poverty conversation, then the political discourse will change.
I've had the opportunity to sort of take the longer form and stretch out. You cannot get to those stories on the phone, drop out of your office, drop into a neighborhood and expect people to open up and tell you the real story. It takes a lot of time. It's not as intensive and as expensive as investigative reporting, which has really suffered at most, medium, smaller sized newspapers. But it does take time and it takes effort, and sometimes it's discouraging because, like I said, why are you writing about those scumbags? Effing this and this. This is what you hear after you write about poor people.
What is the challenge, the balance that how can you achieve the balance between describing the forces that have contributed to an individual's poverty without, and I think Paul might have used the word pathologizing, or essentially pegging an individual to the various social forces that shape them? How do you allow them their kind of full humanity?
Well, I think that's where good journalism at its best comes in, where you're trying to help people who are your readers understand how an issue may keep someone in poverty. So if you look at the criminal justice situation, and you can use an example of a person who's been affected by it and how they've been prohibited from advancing, and how different policies can be changed and new ideas can be implemented that can bring that forward.
Well, take a journalist and make them do the homework that they have to do by talking on the phone with some of the big experts that you've invited to a 2-day conference, for example. That's exactly what the Schuyler Center did with me 2 weeks ago or last week or something. It was about early childhood education. This is an issue I had zero interest in. I don't have kids. I'm off doing something else. Bored. Guess what? Now I'm gung-ho to talk about early childhood education.
The internet connection and a smartphone or a laptop, the world is flat. The real secret is up here we're at the same level as you. We're on this little raised platform, but you can build an audience, write a lot, do amazing stories about an issue, and gain as much voice and audience as we can.